guys, welcome to episode 3 of The Kiosk Kit. Thank you for tuning in, and today we have something really interesting for you guys. Well, lately the internet has been so overwhelming to its consumers that sometimes we forget that we are over consuming certain things, right? Like commonly known as brain rot, we often forget that what we consume on social media as self help may not always entirely resonate with our situations. And this leads to overcomplicating certain situations. What do you think, Bhavya?
Honestly, I totally agree with that. Because I feel like nowadays there is so much of content that's being thrown at us from everywhere, from all types of social. And, it's like 1 second, someone is telling you to just communicate better and set your boundaries. And this other second, it's just someone saying, cut off people from your lives for your peace. And in the next second, it's 10 wellness habits to go on about your day. And there is so much that it gets so overwhelming and super confusing. And so, I think that is also why a lot of us, we end up just even second guessing the simplest of decisions,
Right.
because sometimes it feels like we are just what we can say outsourcing our thoughts to TikTok and Instagram instead of genuinely figuring it out what actually works for us.
Yeah, agree. Because, like, every time I go on social media, first of all, it's like now that we have so many options to go for social media, like TikTok, Instagram, and for some people, Facebook, Pinterest. There's so many options that sometimes I myself am overwhelmed where I'm supposed to go and spend my time. And the fact that algorithm is playing such a big role, like, it completely changes my mood when I go online on different apps. So I get what you mean.
That is so true. Like just today I was seeing my Instagram, and guess what my explore page is filled with?
What?
Take a wild guess.
Mm, I don't know. How to be rich?
No, it's literally filled with recipes of tiramisu. I
Oh
mean,
my
it's insane. Can you imagine?
God. See, this is what, like, we never know what our algorithm is. Like, is it about food? Is it about self-help? Is it about some online therapy or what? Like, it's very scattered, to be honest.
That is so true. But I do want to ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
What is your favorite category of content? Is it food? Is it travel? Is it recipes? Is it wellness? Is it um podcasts just like ours or quotes? What is it?
Okay, that's very interesting because past few days, genuinely, I love my Instagram feed because it's all about like traveling the entire world and then, just how you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years. And to be honest, like it's giving me a lot of motivation, like especially right now that I'm done with my bachelor's and I'm looking forward for my master's and also to like go into this working world very soon. Like it's giving me a little motivation on how like you can work on yourself for yourself and like just make the best out of whatever you have and whatever you will have in the future. So it's a mix of, yes, it's mix of travel, it's mix of like money making and also like how you can have yourself contained and what you should do, what you should not do. But then again, yeah, sometimes I'm also so confused, like one Instagram page says, oh, money is everything. The other Instagram, like literally I'll scroll one swipe up and it says, you know what, money is not everything, money cannot buy you happiness. Like,
Yeah.
what I'm supposed to do?
It's so contradicting. I mean, how is it possible that one post is speaking something nice about that one topic and the next post is literally contradicting what the first post said?
Exactly.
Like, how is that even possible? You know how there was a recent trend where everyone was using Saza's song,
Mm-hmm.
the Better Live Your Life,
Yeah.
and we were running out of time.
Yeah.
So I think I really like that song, by the way. So I've been trying to do that as well,
Mm-hmm.
but again, it gets so overwhelming. Just recently, yesterday, I was going through Instagram and I was just doom scrolling, and I got so sick of it because the doom scrolling felt more like mindlessly scrolling.
A brain rot, literally.
Exactly.
That's exactly what it is. Oh my God, I agree.
And when we are talking about TikTok and we're talking about Instagram and wellness and so many categories, so many topics, it sometimes really confuses me that are we genuinely feeling those emotions or are we just labeling them based on content? Because, at times I feel like we get so confused whether they are genuinely our emotions or we are just, for the sake of relating to it, we are just um, labeling our emotions.
Yeah, no, that makes so much sense. Like, sometimes when you are distracted by a lot of other things, which I'm guessing everybody is, like, you have to multitask in your life. You have a lot of things going on at home, at your workplace, at your study place. So sometimes you're not able to fully process your emotions. And I feel like that also results in you not knowing what you're actually feeling. So sometimes when you go online and you have someone telling you what you're feeling, sometimes you're like, oh, okay, maybe this is what I'm exactly feeling. I'm not able to word it, but someone else is like helping me word it better. So maybe, yeah, this is what I'm feeling. But here's the
Exactly.
like, I feel, this is my opinion, it could be different. I feel like, yes, even if someone else is putting what I'm feeling into words, it could also be different because what I'm going through might not be 100% the same what the other person is going through. Yes, maybe the situation might be similar, but obviously it can't be one on one exactly same. But if that person is saying it and I am quote unquote manipulated by their words, I feel like it might just distract us. It might make us either overthink or we might also tend to just ignore whatever we are going through or what we might be going through. You get what I mean?
Yes, that is so true. There are two sides to this. There's definitely a pro side, and there's definitely a bad side as well. Because a lot of advice can actually be relatable to what we are feeling, like you said, and a lot of advice, because they might not be relatable at times, we might just label them to being relatable, or we can or because it becomes so much over time and we are feeling the emotions and we're seeing the advices, there is so much that's going on, we get so confused.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it gets me thinking, do we really need all this advice, or is it just making things more worse and more complicated when it's just very simple?
Yeah. Yeah, like a lot of times things are just simple, but I think it's just a human tendency to just either overthink it or overcomplicate it, which in my opinion it's not a bad thing. Like it's probably a good thing to think about stuff, but at the same time, yes, like if you really think about it really that in deep, when it's really not that deep, is when you may cause yourself an issue because sometimes something which might seem small could be a big thing or vice versa. And I feel like this is where the internet therapy really comes in, no? Like I've been seeing all these like past few days or past few weeks, I would say, like I'm seeing so many accounts on both like TikTok, YouTube as well, TikTok, YouTube, and
Yeah.
Instagram, which has like which are in the category of self-help, I would say, self-improvement, self
Hmm.
categories. And like that particular segment or like field is so overwhelmed. Like every day they'll be posting something, and I feel like those posts are so strongly opinionated that it kind of makes me feel like
Yeah.
whatever I'm feeling, is that not validated? Is it not like, is it not enough? Like it genuinely makes me feel that. I don't.
Yeah, and because the field itself, it's so scattered. It's all over. There are thousands of people saying the same thing in a different format, in a different for a different situation, that sometimes it becomes relatable according to our situation, and sometimes it's it's just not as relatable as it is. And that is the point where I think it really goes over the head.
Yeah.
Because why is it that suddenly everyone wants an internet therapist and there are like so many of them?
Yeah.
You
It's
know what I mean? I mean, it's just all over. And there are so, and I really, it gets me laughing actually
Mhm.
when they provide all these techniques,
Yeah.
and there are so many of these techniques. So it's very hard to just pick one and do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to journal now every morning? Am I supposed to now make a vision board every time the year ends? Am I supposed to start scripting? Am I supposed to start going to yoga? What do I do? And
Yeah.
I think that's when we all need to genuinely realize that we need to see what really works for us.
Hmm. Agree.
Instead of every time going with what the internet does or what the trend is doing, we really need to see what works for us, for our body, for our wellness.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's true. Like for people to create content, obviously they'll come up with like at least 5 to 10 tips and techniques, what to do, what not to do. But for you, like people in general and like consumers like us, we really need to find out first of all what works the best for us, because like nobody knows yourself better than you yourself, you know. So you need to know what
Yeah.
works the best for you, and also you need to know what doesn't work for you, because if you start doing things which you know are not going to work for you, it's going to backfire. Obviously you're not going to heal, or you're not going to move forward with like things that are not going to work with you.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that.
Mm.
Because, there are moments where sometimes the advice might just backfire.
Yeah. Yeah, like
So
imagine
you really need,
from a situation, or you're doing good from whatever situation you're in, and then suddenly you go on internet and you listen to an advice and you start spiraling again, like you're back to square one. What's the point? And you can't really control on what you're seeing on the internet.
yeah, and it's like an advice overload, like there is literally so many content telling you to do different types of things. And sometimes all of this genuinely backfires because instead of helping, it really just makes us overthink even more. And
Yeah,
like, and you are just suddenly questioning every decision of yours, such as, am I even setting a healthy boundaries, or am I being too available? Am I the toxic one? Whatever am I doing? Is it right?
exactly.
And they just create this inner bubble that sometimes it's either very hard to get into the bubble, or it becomes very difficult to get out of it.
That is so true. Yeah, exactly. So, like, do we all even need an advice? No, yes, I don't know. Like, it's a very open-ended questions to everyone, no?
Definitely. And that's where it gets messy because the internet it feels as if the internet wants us to have answers for every single thing or explanation. But maybe we just don't always need to have an answer. We don't always need to have a reasoning. Because sometimes what I feel, in my opinion, is that the healthiest thing to do is to just feel the moment,
Yeah.
feel whatever's happening without always, chat GPTing a diagnosis for it or talking to chat GPT as if it's your
Okay, that
therapist.
one another story, because like on I feel like as if online therapy wasn't less, I've this AI has come in between again, and everyone's just sharing their stuff and personal things with ChatGPT.
Exactly.
Scary, because like what? I don't know.
And it's a very interesting thing I read recently. There was this interview with the owner of ChatGPT, I believe, and I don't remember it very clearly, but he said that the fact that all and everyone is talking to ChatGPT about their thoughts and their feelings, they don't realize that ChatGPT has not, signed a NDA type of form to actually keep it within them.
Oh, yeah.
So, so it's just as risky as it's good.
Definitely.
So now that we have talked about this,
Mm.
I actually planned a segment for you.
Oh, okay, fun. Let's do that.
Okay, so this segment is actually called Overhyped or Overwhelmed.
Okay.
So I will be throwing any trend or any term, and you have to answer instantly whether it's overhyped or whether it's overwhelmed
Oh,
or if it actually works.
okay, okay. So overhyped as in like people are just talking about it too much and then it's not really that worth it.
Exactly.
Uh,
Exactly. Or overwhelming when it feels like it's too much for you, or whether it actually works
all
for
right.
you.
Sounds
Okay, so it's going to be quick and it's going to be like a
just
quick
like that.
rapid fire.
Right. Okay.
The first one, silent walking for mental clarity.
Okay, for me it works.
Okay, manifesting text from your ex.
Nah, that's what was the first word?
Overhyped, overwhelmed, or actually works.
Overwhelmed. It
Journaling every single morning.
okay, that helps. It helps you clear your mind, so definitely it works.
Calling every fight gaslighting.
Okay, that's overhyped. Because like sometimes fights are necessary, You need healthy relationships.
Waking up at 5 a.m. for success.
No, that's overwhelmed.
Detoxing from social media once a week.
Okay, that actually works. I've tried, it works.
Okay, last one. Um, Replacing therapy with TikTok tips.
No, that's overhyped. That was fun.
That was it.
Yeah, that reminds me, all this like TikTok therapy and like online therapy. So I've actually in my final year, I did this one research paper. It was literally regarding this topic, like can can people go back to Instagram for their therapy when Instagram itself is a place that gave them stress to go to a therapy? You know what I mean?
Wow, that is such a great question.
Yeah. So I actually like
Tell me.
I found out lots of things, but like I can't really say everything over here. But it was quite an
Yeah,
interesting research because you know how social media in general is a place that sometimes gives you anxiety these days because it's first of all it's so overcrowded. Everybody over there, they're just trying to either they're pretending somebody else and not somebody else, as in they're pretending it to be something that they are not, or they just want to
yeah,
themselves out there to to get some validations, which at the end of the day it's true. Like how much ever do we sugarcoat it, it is what it is. And then you go on and see people enjoying having the best day, having the best life ever, eating what
yeah,
they want, etc., etc. And then somehow, if it's giving you anxiety and all, you want to go for therapy. Right now, therapy these days are very expensive, and like not everybody could
exactly.
afford it, or you don't want to go like in real life. So people somehow
Yeah,
like it's just how their brain is being, how do I say, wired these days, that they
yeah,
automatically go to the social media platform itself to go and find out how they are feeling. It's basically them again going there to validate how they're feeling, which again comes back to square one,
yeah.
which is so interesting.
Wow, I've actually never seen it from that point of view.
Hmm.
But now that you've said it and I'm thinking about it, that's actually such an interesting topic, because again, it's like a gap between your picture perfect self-care that's happening, that you're showing it online, and then there is a messy real world healing that's going at the back of the camera.
Exactly.
And so I think what's more recommended is the messy real world healing. I believe that's what people really want to see instead of, again, waking up in the morning and you're showing that it's perfect and you've made your bed and you've made avocado toast as your breakfast.
Exactly.
when the reality is that you just wake up sometimes groggy and messy, and all you want to do is just get back to bed and sleep for a while longer.
Yeah, and I feel like people are not showing this side of internet much. Like this is the real side, and this should be shown more because then people who are not being able to have like so-called the perfect life, they start doubting themselves. They fall into depression. They're like, why am I not able to be the same person that I see on the internet? Why am I being so different? And that also creates so much self-doubt, which is at the end of the day, it's harmful. Like it's not good for you.
It's wild how self-growth has been like so romanticized
Yeah.
because the message isn't just supposed to be working on yourself.
Exactly.
Right now it's like working on yourself, but making sure it's also aesthetic at the same time.
Yeah.
And if your vibe isn't beige and minimalistic and sunshine, then you're just doing it wrong. You're not following the trend at all.
No,
Because
I feel like romanticizing your life, yes, it's good, but doing it over, no, that shouldn't be. Like just live your life how it is, like normally.
yeah, because real healing, it's messy sometimes.
100.
It's being vulnerable, it's uncomfortable, it's being confused and just even questioning yourself up, messing up and trying again. It's not this perfectly curated world of Pinterest board that we have just made it look like.
Hmm. Agree. Hmm. Well, that reminds me, I have few questions with me also that I would like to ask you. It's more like a rapid fire as well. So, like,
Okay,
I'll give you few questions, and then, for example, like
okay.
I'll give you a line, a scenario, and then you just answer based on what's the first thing that comes to your mind. Also, like a rapid fire, but it doesn't really have to be just one word. You can explain it a little in like one or two line or how much ever you like it. Yeah.
Okay, let's get with it.
Okay. Mm, and it's also like something which is kind of trending these days, or like you might have like come across.
Okay.
Okay, so do you think TikTok actually makes people more self-aware of their attachment style, or like are they just overthinking it?
Uh, Depends on their algorithm. Sometimes it can actually help them become self-aware, but I think it's making them more self-conscious.
Oh, I like that. Okay. Do quick TikTok or those Instagram hacks like, like, oh, do some breathing or something. Do they actually calm you, or can they also feel very surface level, like, just for a second or two, it helps?
It just helps for a second or two. The very next thing you see me is not waking up early. Just remembering to drink my water, I think it's a big thing.
Okay, I agree also. Okay. Could you actually take a walk with no phone or like no music at all, like just silence? Or is it too loud for you?
I have I have tried that and I just feel like there are constantly eyes on me everywhere.
Okay. So does combining movement with mindfulness feel sustainable, or is it just like a passing trend?
It can be messy, but I feel it helps.
Mm.
So maybe in a way it's sustainable, but definitely a trend right now.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. Okay, I have one last. So is TikTok empowering people to set healthier boundaries, or is it just pushing like a selfish vibe?
I think it's simplifying the harsher part and making it more difficult for the simpler things.
I like your answers.
I swear I didn't prepare them.
You didn't know also. So fair enough.
True, true.
Nice, nice. Yeah,
You know, because like genuinely saying growth isn't supposed to be looking cute. It's supposed to feel transformative.
yeah,
And if it involves a bit of tears and chaos, then it's valid.
yeah. That's where the kiosk kit comes in, no?
I agree. I agree. You said what you said.
Exactly. Might as well promote. But
Genuinely.
I agree. Like social media is being a little like too distracting these days. But yeah, as long as you know your boundaries, as long as you know the where the lines should not be blurred out, it should be fine. Because like you can't avoid social media this in this era. You can't.
Yeah, definitely. And sometimes you just have to sit and do nothing. And by nothing, I don't mean like keeping your phone beside you or uh, just staring at your TV or something. I mean, doing nothing, like just laying down, staring at your wall or your ceiling and just doing nothing. Because I genuinely think that that's when your brain starts working. That's when your creative ideas come. That's when you think and you're able to think of newer things, to do.
Yeah. It's basically like trying to rewire your brain into 90s. That's it. Life would be so much sorted.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's all you need at times. You just have to do nothing. Because, now that I self-reflect, a 4-month summer holiday seems so long. You're back from university and you're back from an environment where you are literally surrounded by your friends. And when you're surrounded by your friends, you don't really have the time to go on social media a lot or just even Netflix in general. Like
Right.
I don't personally. And because I love being around friends, I love being around people and playing cards at night as a routine.
Yeah.
But when you come back home from that, I remember this time I literally told my mom that I'm going into a hibernation mode for like a whole week. And that's what I did. I just rested myself. I threw my phone into some corner and just rested myself, did nothing. And trust me, it helped so much. It made me feel so good because, even just at times you're so overwhelmed with the people that you are surrounded by that you just have to come back home and do nothing.
Right, right.
And eventually your body gets into that mode again.
Yeah. No, definitely. Oh, no wonder I was being ghosted by you.
Um,
It's okay.
see,
I get.
you're just calling me out.
That's okay. No. Uh, but yeah,
But yeah, okay, I do have a question though.
okay.
What do we think about those new Gen Z TikTok Instagram words? Like it girl and Pilates girl. What
My
do we think about these?
honestly, for me, it does not make sense. Like, what do you mean it
Same.
girl? Like, are you like what is happening? Like, how does one define what actually it girl means? Like, it could be different definitions for everybody. I am not a support of this it girl. Like, as much as it aesthetically looks good to see on Pinterest and Instagram, I don't support this idea. Like, what do you mean? It's nothing.
That's what, because it girl itself, there, they have built so many meanings of this one term. Like what do I even follow at this point?
Exactly.
What is the actual definition of it girl?
Exactly.
Why are there so many definitions and it's all over the place? I
Yeah.
mean, what are we trying to even show? Like a perfect life? Is that what it girl is? A perfect routine? Is that what it girl means? What is it? Why is it so scattered?
Exactly.
So yeah,
Like,
same.
it's very irrelevant because in general also there's no definition of perfectness. So yeah, and all these fancy words like pilates, pickleball, it just makes me feel like our generation, which is Gen Z, we are getting old. I think the truth is this new Gen Alpha is taking the rule of the world. So either they understand what it actually is, or we are actually getting old, or these terms just doesn't make sense. It could either be all these three.
True. And I do think, all of this is so hyped up suddenly. I mean, I don't think so. I even heard of Pilates like 4 years ago.
4 years last
And
week also I
suddenly,
did hear.
yeah, how is it suddenly everywhere?
Yeah. Oh,
So, actually, this is a topic we can always go on talking about. I mean, there are so many therapy lingos, there are so many wellness lingos, there are so many Gen Z words out there, and it's a never-ending topic.
yeah.
But, you know, we have talked so much about the effects of social media and all of these apps. I just want to say that sometimes, I genuinely think from my point of view, it feels like as if healing has become another competition,
Yeah.
such as, who journals the most, who eats the cleanest, and who meditates at sunrise and goes to Pilates. But I believe real growth isn't supposed to be aesthetic.
Hmm.
It can be messy and it can be different for everyone. And that's what makes it real, you know?
Yeah, it's not some trend.
So,
It has to be what comes within from you, like nothing else.
exactly, because when we turn them into trends, we forget that healing is actually just supposed to be personal and not what we can say performative.
Right. True.
So, just to end,
Hmm.
I have actually come up with something.
Oh, what is it?
It's the Chaos Kit hot take.
Wow. I like that.
Yeah.
Nice.
And this episode's hot take is it's okay to be messy
Yeah.
because you know what? Here's the truth. Here's an actual fact. You don't need an expensive journal or a vision board or a Bali retreat or a cool breakfast.
Right.
Sometimes simple growth is just eating Maggie at 2 a.m. or being on call with your friends or, sometimes just existing. You
That,
don't have to optimize every moment of your life. And you need to allow yourself to be healing in your own way. So it can be messy or it can be however way you want. You don't have to let Instagram make you feel you're just failing at it because you're not following the trends. So if you want to go to that pottery class, go. If you want to not go to Pilates and just do yoga, do it. So, maybe we just need less perfect routines, like we call it, and a little bit of patience with ourselves and a little bit of vulnerability out there. It's all about the timing at the end of the day.
yeah.
So, just to end, you know, I think today's episode talked about a lot of things. But just to leave you guys with something, what if the solution to feeling lost isn't another 5 a.m. routine? You know, it's just slowing down enough to breathe through life.
Wow.
So stay tuned and find out in episode 4. And adding on to that, Follow this podcast on Instagram at the rate the Chaos Kit and on Spotify, and share it with someone who's in, well, like we say, they're figuring it out era. And if you've got guest ideas or just want to drop by and say hi, definitely hit us up on IG, and we'd love to hear from you guys about your stories.
Yeah, I mean, I loved this episode. It was lovely. Great conversations.
Same.
And I myself am so excited for next episode.
I mean, we're always excited for the next episode.
Yeah. So this was
Always
sounds
there.
interesting. I like. Yeah, okay. So thank you so much, everybody. And we will see you in our next episode. All right.
Give us a lot of love.